Hello friends, myself Samar Pandya. I am a student of Charusat University and today I am going to talk about Samsung's processor which is Exynos 9611. So let's begin. First of all, we have to understand what is a smartphone processor. So smartphone processor, also known as chipset, is a component that controls everything going on in your smartphone and ensures it functions correctly. It can be compared with brain of the human body. Every action you perform on your smartphones goes straight to the processor. These actions are then converted to visual changes on your screen. And all of this happens in a split seconds. Basically, in simple words, when we give some task to our smartphone, that task registered by microprocessor and the data will be stored in our memory. That data is converted into zeros and ones language, which is understood by our mobile. So our mobile will work on that data and give us output. So by that we will get what we needed. And if we get take an example, when we are looking at something, the light emitting from that will go into our eyes and it will be converted into the data and it will create an image and we will be able to see that thing. So basically that microprocessor is a chain between what we give and what we get. It is a chain between our input and output. This is the processor Exynos 9611 about which we will talk today. Basically, this processor was launched in September 2019. That means 4 years ago from today. Here we can see the list of smartphones of Samsung in which this processor has been used. This processor has been used in Samsung Galaxy M30s, M31, M31s, A50s, A51, F41. That means this microprocessor is used in many smartphones of Samsung. We don't know about its reason because they can generate more efficient and more good microprocessors, but they are believing on Exynos 9611. This can be their marketing strategy, but we are not going to talk about that much. So let's go on the specifications of Exynos 9611. So it is an 64-bit octa-core. Uh, that means it can process data and instructions in chunks of 64 bits, and it is basically has over 4 billion times the physical memory of 32-bit microprocessor, which is very good. And if we talk about its fabrication process, which means it's NM architecture, uh, basically in NM architecture, how much less your NM architecture is, the better quality will be provided by that microprocessor. That means if your NM architecture is less, heat will be produced less, power consumption will be less, and your battery efficiency will be good. Here, its NM architecture is 10 nm. Means if we compare it to 8 nm architecture processors, it will produce more heat, it will consume more power, and its battery efficiency will be less, which is not so good. So in comparison to Snapdragon processors, this processor will be not so good enough in its NM architecture. Now we will talk about its clock speed. Basically in clock speed, we will talk about two things: its performance score and efficiency score. Uh, Here its performance score is 4x 2.3 gigahertz and efficiency score is 4 into 1.7 gigahertz. For performance core, it has used Cortex A73 and efficiency core, it has used Cortex A55. That means its performance and efficiency, both things are uh, equally because they both are using 4 bits. Now let's talk about its GPU. Uh, some people have a doubt what is need of GPU in our mobile phones. Basically, when we are playing video games, it is needed to get the visual so clear, and the frames should be changed in a easy way, and frame drops and lag should be less. So for that, we need a good GPU. Here, this Exynos 9611 is using ARM Mali G72 MP3, which is good, but not as Adreno. If we compare a Mali GPU and Adreno GPU, always Adreno GPU will come forward in the list. So it will run our high high level games, but it won't give us the expected outcome what we want. Now we will talk about camera and video support. Camera and video support doesn't impact it so much, but we have to consider it to understand the processor. So here in single camera, it will give support to 64 megapixel, and in dual camera it will give 16 plus 16 megapixel. So here I have taken an example of Samsung M31, which has macro camera and depth camera of 5 megapixel, main camera of 64 megapixel, and ultra wide camera of 8 megapixel. So basically we have seen the list of smartphones which have used this Exynos 9611. So 64 megapixel main camera is the highest megapixel which have been used with this microprocessor, because it supports till 64 megapixel. And if we talk about its video support, here we have 120 fps at 4K and 480 fps at 1080p. Basically, how much fps is higher, it will give us more good quality, efficiency, and smoothness in our video, because there will be more frames accepted in less time, so the video will be go smoother. And it is an plus point of this microprocessor, because it is giving us a very good video quality and video support. Now let's talk about its RAM and ROM. It is having LPDDR4X RAM, which has clock speed of 2133 megahertz, and it has used as storage eMMC 5.1, which has transfer rate of 400 Mbps, and UFS 2.1, which has bandwidth of 6 Gbps. Basically, UFS is definitely faster than eMMC, but here we are using both to increase its efficiency. You can see the image of Samsung LPDDR4X and Samsung eMMC. Now let's talk about network. It is an important part from any microprocessor, cause we always look at the downloading and uploading speed first, because it is necessary for us. So basically for downloading it has used CAT 12, which gives us 600 Mbps speed, and for uploading we have used CAT 13, which gives us 150 Mbps speed. Basically we can get more downloading speed in other processors of Snapdragon, but in uploading speed it is at a good level. We can consider it as a good processor for its uploading speed, but downloading speeds can be better. Now we will go on a very important part. It's Antutu benchmark. Antutu gives your device an overall numerical score as well as individual scores for each test it performs. These score numbers are useful for comparing different devices. Basically, Antutu is just like an exam. We all are giving an exam, and according to our performance in each subject, we will get our overall percentage or CGPA or grade. And according to its comparison, other person will identify our knowledge. So basically Antutu will give it give the processor some certain task, and according to its performance for those tasks it will give it a score, by comparing which we can compare two processors performance, which one is better. And here Antutu benchmark of this processor is 17500. Now let's talk about Geekbench score. Basically it is just like Antutu benchmark. Geekbench runs a series of tests on a processor and times how long the processor takes to complete the task. The quicker the CPU completes the task, the higher the Geekbench score is. So basically, it takes it also takes some tests, and according to that, how much time the processor have taken, it gives it a score. Like here we have a single core score of 345 and multi-core score of 1207. It doesn't have so impactful score, but it is quite good. So I have given you information about Exynos 9611 according to my knowledge. But according to me, this microprocessor is not up to the mark, but it is quite good for our daily basic use. So now I just hope you enjoyed this video and I want to thank you for watching this. Bye bye.